So the playgrounds are closed? What do I say to my kids? Sadly enough, this particular topic came from a visit that Vicki and I made to the park, and a mom actually called out to us from the lawn area near the playground, and her little 3-year-old boy was with her, and she said, "What do you say to your kids when the playground is closed?" And this little boy was just kind of bummed out that he couldn't be out there playing. This is something that we're encountering a lot right now in our world. So how do we talk to our kids about that? For me, the very first part of this is to teach the law of opposition. I keep this puzzle in my office to remind me of this particular law or principle. This is a little puzzle of an ancient symbol referring to yin and yang, male and female, dark and light, health and sickness, pleasure and pain. There's opposites in every aspect of our life, and that's what this symbol represents. Notice that your life is composed of opposites, and so are your kids' lives, composed of opposites. There's always upsides and downsides to everything. Is this true? Have you noticed this from the challenges in your own life? That it brings both, the upside and the downside, the yin and the yang. This is a concept we want to teach our kids, so that when things like the playground is closed comes up for them in their life, they don't get too tipped over. They can kind of roll with it. So let's hit a couple of examples of how to use this opposition concept as we're talking to our kids about it. Thinking of this little 3-year-old. I know, buddy. I'm sad too that the playground's closed. But I'm happy that I get to be here at the park with you. Okay, now notice I'm just gonna introduce, there's this downside, but then there's this upside, so we add that in. Another way to talk to kids about the law of opposition is to turn it into a game. I might set this one up like this. You know, there's upsides and downsides to everything, huh? Hey, I wonder if we could figure out what some of the upsides are. Let's play a game. I'm gonna try to think of one of the best things about the playground being closed. And then you think of something, and then I'll think of something. One of the best things about the playground being closed is, and then you come up with whatever ideas that you can and just kind of trade it off that way. Kids are pretty smart and they track things. So the next tip that I have for you is to share the real reasons for the closure. And it's not because everything's broken or out of order. It's not because they don't deserve to play on the playground. You know, let's stay away from those imaginary reasons and get to the real reason why the playground is closed. Now, at the time of the filming of this video, we're dealing with a pandemic, COVID-19, and that's why the playgrounds are closed in the parks around where I live and maybe where you live as well. Kids pick up on this. They know that things are different. So don't try to make up some imaginary reason why it's closed. Just simply tell them the information. Sweetie, the park is closed because of the pandemic or because of this virus that's going around. Now, kids are notorious for asking, well, why? Let's give them an answer that's going to make sense based on other things that they're experiencing in their world. For example, buddy, have you noticed that when we're driving in the car and we come to a stoplight, what do? Right, we stop, huh? Why? See, the stoplight isn't there to stop us from getting where we need to go. It's there to help us to get there safely. And right now, the playgrounds are closed to help us get there safely. An example like that is going to make sense to kids if you can tie it to something that they're already used to. Another thing that will probably make sense to them, especially if you use the stoplight analogy, is to say, sometimes we stop using something for a little while to stay safe. Like the stoplight. Now here's a third point. It's really easy to notice or focus on what we're missing or what has stopped working or what we can't do because of the contrast. We're used to having things a certain way, and then when something changes, we notice what's different about that. Our brain is also capable of thinking about or focusing on all of those things we can do, or noticing what's available to us, not what we're missing or what we've lost. So as we talk to our kids about that, we can help them to focus on it by bringing that to their attention. You know, a great example of this I saw years ago from a story about Ben Underwood. You can look him up right here on YouTube and see some inspiring things about this young man's life. At the age of 3, both of his eyes were removed. He was completely blind. It was because of a cancer that he had. His mother, Aquanetta, helped him to find ways around his blindness by focusing on what he could do, not what he can't do. And as a little boy, she told him, I know, Ben, you don't have your eyes, but you've got your ears, and you can touch and feel things, and you can smell. There are so many things you can do that will help you to get around and to find your way in the world. That's a beautiful example of what we're talking about here. Oh, I know the playground's closed, but what do we have that we can pay attention to? Now, when you invite your kids, and I would use kind of an open-ended question. You don't have to answer it for them right off the bat. Get them to do some thinking and use that brilliant mind of theirs to come up with some great ideas, and they will. They're going to surprise you a little bit. They'll come up with some thoughts about what is working and what is available and what they can do instead of what they can't do. I know we can't play on the playground, but what can we do? Can you think of some things? And then you can reiterate to them that when the playground is closed, that's when we get to use our thinker to get really creative and come up with other ways to have some fun. And let's wrap this off with one of my favorite points, and that is gratitude. You know, gratitude is one of the most powerful psychological tools that I'm aware of to help shift the energy and the focus. And when our kids are upset about something, like the playground being closed, if we can redirect their attention a bit into what they're grateful for, this will help them to have a much more pleasant and joyful experience. So one way to do that is a little challenge. Hey, let's see if we can come up with 3 things that we're grateful for, that we're really happy about. And 2 of those can be really easy things, and the third one has to be about this hard thing that we're dealing with. And then let's give them some examples too. Let's see, I'm grateful for those beautiful mountains that we have to look at today. I'm also really grateful for music that I can listen to that makes me feel energy. Okay, now let's see, the hard thing is that the playground's closed. What am I grateful for about the playground being closed? That one's harder. Oh, I've got one. You know what? I really am grateful that when the playground's closed, I get to spend more time like this with you. With all of the challenges we face in parenting, we've got your back. Come to drpauljenkins.com, where you'll learn more about the resources available to you immediately as a parent, including a free copy of my book, Pathological Positivity.
In the street alone. Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.